Perfect. I believe you're live. Let's just give it another minute before we let a few more people join. And of course, we can get started. All right. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining me today. My name is Tasneem Ahmed, and I work in the business development team here at Parallels. I'll be your host and guide through today's session. We're here to discuss something that's on the top of the mind for many IT professionals, which is Citrix and legacy VDI complexity. More importantly, we explore how Parallels provides a cleaner, more intuitive alternative that doesn't compromise on capability and performance. Having said that, I'd love to highlight the topic for today's discussion, which is why Parallels RAS wins against Citrix and traditional VDI. To start off, before we get into the product and technology side of things, let me give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering in the next hour or 45 minutes or so. We're going to walk through some key topics that I think you'll find both relevant and practical, especially if you're navigating the challenges of remote or hybrid work environments. We'll talk about the rise of hybrid work and how it's reshaping the expectations of IT infrastructure and end user computing teams. The common challenges faced by Citrix and legacy VDI users, whether it be complexities and costs, or how we bring in flexibility and scalability with Parallels RAS, is what we're gonna, of course, highlight towards the end of the discussion. I'd love to give you a clear breakdown on what the Parallels RAS architecture really looks like from an architectural point of view or an infrastructure integration point of view to show how everything really fits in together and why it really matters as well. I'm also going to give you a live demo to see it all in action and see how Parallels RAS really works from a user point of view, from, of course, a use case perspective as well. Towards the end, I'll also address all the questions that I can. And of course, please feel free to leave comments or questions in the comment section just so I can, of course, address them towards the end of the discussion as well. But yeah, please feel free to leave your comments or questions as we move forward. And of course, I'll try to see them as we go. But if not, I'll make sure to address them towards the end of the discussion or, of course, reaching out to you personally as well. So please, yeah, feel free to leave your questions on the comment section. Having said that, let's start off by really diving deeper into a topic that really fascinates me in terms of what kind of decisions uh, or IT teams put forth today in the modern IT landscape. Well, if you talk about the modern IT infrastructure, it's shaped not just by strategy, but by a host of external pressures: security protocols, compliance requirements, budget constraints, and sometimes even legacy systems that are tightly woven into a business to just walk freely away from. And we get that. At Parallels, we don't believe in forcing companies into a one size fits all approach, but we are basically allowing every organization's infrastructure to be as unique as they want it to be. Some are fully on prem, others are cloud native. Many fall somewhere in between with a hybrid middle ground approach. That's why our solutions as a whole are built in terms of flexibility for allowing organizations to not change too much of their infrastructure, but allow Parallels to integrate with their existing technologies as a whole. Our mission is simple: to make your transition, whether they happen all at once or gradually over time in terms of the virtualization experience that you want to go for. We want to take the stress out of your infrastructure decisions so you really focus on what really matters to you, basically driving your business forward. Because in the end, technology should not really work for you, or yeah, technology should work for you, not the other way around. Now, if we talk about the modern working environment or the modern hybrid environment that we talk about, It's not about just where your employees work from. It's about where your workloads live as a whole. With apps spread across on-prem, private, and public clouds, seamless access is key for allowing a good user experience. Now, our team at Parallels recently conducted a state of the cloud computing survey, as you may call it, for 2025, where we engaged with 600 IT professionals around the world to better understand where organizations are in their cloud journey and where they're headed next. One of the most striking insights that we got was that security is always on the top of the mind. A full of 88% respondents said that their organization was planning to increase their security budget in the next year. And of course, nearly half aiming for a significant increase. Another key trend that we are seeing, as you see over here, is a shift away from public cloud. 86% of those surveyed are either considering or actively planning to move workloads away from public cloud. Within that group, 27% are leaning towards a hybrid work model or hybrid cloud model, while 14% are planning to move fully on prem. So, when asked where their current workloads live, 50% said, as you see right here, that they use a multi-cloud environment, and 32% said that they have a hybrid setup that combines both cloud and on-prem resources. And finally, as a whole, what we noticed was that remote work continues to be a major driver, with 85% of organizations still supporting some level of remote work. And that brings me to talk about Parallels or our Parallels portfolio of solutions. I'm sure many of you who know Parallels are familiar with our legacy product, Parallels Desktop. It's what lets you run Windows seamlessly on a Mac device. It's a favorite among developers, gamers, and anyone who prefers Windows but wants to use a MacBook device. Today, we are here to talk about something different than the Parallels desktop solution, of course. We're here to talk about Parallels RAS. So if you're using Citrix or other traditional VDI solutions like Omnisa or Nerdio, this is a solution worth paying attention to. In a nutshell, Parallels RAS or Parallels Remote Application Server is a streamlined virtualization solution for delivering apps or desktops, whether you're running on-prem, in the cloud, or a hybrid setup. It offers the flexibility to integrate with your existing infrastructure, including AVD, VMware, or AWS, while giving you a unified management experience across all of these environments. This flexibility is what makes the big difference for organizations looking for a more simpler, cost-effective alternative. To special mention some of our other solutions as well, there's the Parallels DOS, which is one of our recent products we launched early last year, and we're also coming up with a new update soon. So keep an eye on that. Parallels DOS is our cloud native desktop as a service solution. It's built for organizations that want to provide a secure, flexible access to desktops without dealing with the headaches of complex deployments, of course. And of course, because security is priority to us, we also offer two key security focused products, as you see over here in the web and SaaS apps side of things. Parallels Secure Workspace, which is a unified workspace solution, giving you a secure way to access applications and data through a HTML5 browser-based experience, basically eliminating the need of a VPN-like uh, protocol. Now, Parallels Secure Workspace could be very much compared to Parallels RAS in terms of its usability, but limited to a very browser-based environment is what Parallels Secure Workspace really gives you or offers you. And then, of course, we have Parallels Browser Isolation, which is a remote browser isolation tool and acts as a secure cloud native gateway in front of SaaS applications or even identity providers, adding that extra layer of protection. So now that you see all of our solutions in a gist, at the end of the day, our goal is simple: to give organizations the freedom to work the way they want without compromising on usability or security. Having said that, I'd love to highlight that for today's discussion, I'm going to focus our conversation or our discussion as a whole towards Parallels RAS and how we really differ from legacy VDI and Citrix like solutions. Coming back to the recent survey I showed you in regards to the state of cloud computing survey that we at Parallels conducted for 2025, we noticed a significant transformation in the UC landscape. Talking to 600 IT professionals around the world and asking them some really strong questions, what we really understood was that as organizations grapple with high costs and outdated VDI systems, 63% are still evaluating new VDI or DAS solutions, with 94% aiming to deploy a new platform within the same year. The results point to a clear trend. Complexity, costs, and manageability remain major pain points. Respondents ranked the following as their top issues, as you see over here. 42% said that the increased licensing costs or the complexity in the subscription costs that they have or key drivers which are moving them to look at alternatives. And then, of course, we have the performance and reliability issues that come with the uncertainty of a product. And then, of course, we have the support related issues and the lack of centralized control and integration with existing technologies that really is allowing users to look at better alternatives. Other reasons being that traditional VDI solutions are just too complex. Let's face it, they are just too hard to be managed by mid sized and smaller teams. And that's where Parallels really comes into the picture. But of course, before I really talk about how we really solve things from a RAS point of view, I'd also highlight a few of the complexities that I've heard from ID experts that they face with the Citrix licensing of theirs. Citrix new licensing model has caused a lot of confusion and frustration among their users. Well, organizations are now faced with a tough decision whether to stick on prem, switch to hybrid, or pay a premium to cover both. And without transparent pricing, many discover that the cost implications at renewal are just too high. So if you've not faced the wrath of an increased licensing costs or other complexities from Citrix, please know that you might be up for a surprise. And that's where Parallels RAS can really help, offering a powerful, cost-effective solution without the licensing headaches. So amidst all of these complexities and high costs and you know the security related issues that we see these days, what does Parallels RAS really bring to the table? Let's talk about some of our core USPs. Simplicity, of course. Parallels RAS is designed for ease of use. When you talk about particularly hybrid environments, whether your workloads run on AVD, on-prem, AWS, VMware, or even Linux for that matter, the deployment and management experience remains consistent. Provisioning resources in AVD feels just like deploying on-prem, and no additional training or steep learning curves are required. Then there's the flexibility aspect. Parallels RAS adapts to your existing infrastructure with minimal disruption. Its intuitive wizard guided console handles the complexities behind the scenes, allowing your team to manage diverse work environments with ease. And then, of course, we have the cost effectiveness where you get a better total cost of ownership, allowing you to optimize your budgets. RAS provides a more affordable alternative when you talk about comparing it to traditional or Citrix like solutions. With a singular concurrent subscription model and a lower total cost of ownership, it's easy to see the financial benefits and the return on investments that you get firsthand. And then, of course, two important things that I want to highlight are the user experience and the security side of things. No matter what device your operating system is working on, whether it be a Windows operating system or a Mac OS or a Linux or a browser-based environment that you want to work in completely, Parallels RAS delivers a consistent, responsive experience. Users can securely access applications and desktops to either a native client on their mobile or Windows or or Mac OS devices, or a completely HTML5 browser-based experience that they can, of course, really limit themselves to not installing anything on their devices, but of course have a completely HTML5 browser-based experience. Again, ensuring a seamless performance across all platforms without extra configurations or client dependencies. Now, security is not just an add-on, it's fundamental to our solution. Built-in security features like MFA or even SSO protect your data, users, and infrastructure at every level. From access policies to secure gateways, our platform is designed with enterprise-grade protection. So your environment always stays secure without sacrificing usability. I've talked a lot about the yes, USPs and the core nature of RAS as a solution, but I'd love to highlight a few architectural strengths that Parallels RAS really brings to the table. So if we talk about the core architecture, or yeah, the architecture as a whole of Parallels RAS, it's simple, flexible, and scalable. Whether you're deploying on-prem, in the cloud, or a hybrid setup, RAS makes it incredibly easy for you to manage and deliver remote applications and desktops. Of course, I'll be highlighting this during my practical overview of the demo as well, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how we handle these resources from uh, this preview over here, as you might see. So, as I mentioned earlier, one of the best parts is that RAS can be accessed from any device: Windows, Mac OS, Android, iOS. It gives you either a client-based or a browser-based experience as a whole. So if you see here on the left, or let's first talk about the heart of Parallels RAS as a whole, what it really brings together in terms of the sets of features. We have a built-in user portal for easy access to all your apps and desktops that you're deploying. And then, of course, we have an inbuilt load balancer and a single and multi-tenancy support, making it ideal for both SMBs and large enterprises. Now, support for SAML-based single sign-on and a good overview of monitoring and auditing everything from a singular management console, or just additional features that Parallels RAS really brings to the table. And then on the right-hand side, as you see over here, it really connects with all types of resources, whether it be RDSH, perfect for multi-user access, remote PCs, which is a secure access to physical desktops from anywhere. And then, of course, we have a VDI resource that you can allocate via RAS as well, delivering dedicated Windows 10 or Windows 11 desktops. And then we have the AVD integration that you can benefit from. So for cloud-based multi-session environments, you can easily integrate it with your current AVD environments, or of course host completely legacy or local apps or even cloud-based apps which can run right alongside hosted apps seamlessly. So no matter what your environment is, on-prem, cloud, or a mix of both, RAS gives you the control and flexibility to deliver resources your way, of course, without compromising on the ease of management or performance for your user experience. So this screenshot over here is a pretty interesting one because it gives you a singular console view. So this is what the Parallels RAS console or management console really looks like over here. Whether you're publishing applications, desktops, or managing configurations like printing redirection, image management, or profile management, the experience remains consistent from that singular management console from all of these yeah, plugins over here. From an administrator's perspective, there is no differentiation whether you're publishing resources originating from AVD, Nutanix, or a VDI deployment. And this unified approach allows admins to efficiently manage all environments from a singular console. This consistency simplifies operations and enhances productivity regardless of the combination of providers or platforms selected. And of course, I really want to highlight the fact that we really allow the users to have the power of choice. the principle extends to the client experience as a whole. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are platform agnostic or operating system agnostic, allowing you to have a streamlined access via all platforms. As you can see in the screen over here, we've logged in, and the interface displays various resources assigned to us. Just to highlight, I'm going to show this to you on the practical demo as well. But of course, before I just jump into the demo side of things, I wanted to highlight this important feature as well. So from the user's perspective, they can interact with a single client that aggregates resources regardless of their origins. So behind the scenes, these resources may come from different locations or providers. From instance, if I mean for instance, the highlighted things that you see over here coming from AVD, Hyper-V, or an environment hosted via a Nutanix setup. Everything can be integrated in a singular environment. So we want you, the user, to have the power of choice, adapting RAS to your existing infrastructure rather than bringing a lot of nuances that just makes your current IT infrastructure much more complex and expensive to manage. I'm just going to take a quick breather over here now that we've dwelled a lot on the product and architectural side of things from a RAS perspective, but I'd love to give you a quick rundown on what the practical overview of RAS really looks like from a user perspective. So I'm just going to move and jump into a quick demo. Share my screen again. There we go. So as you can see, this is a Chrome browser that I'm working on, and I just want to give you an overview of what the RAS experience really looks like from a browser-based experience, because I think that it's something that you want to work with when you don't want to install anything on your personal device. So I'm just going to go into our demo environment. I've not enabled MFA, but normally you can easily incorporate MFA. So you will have to use the OTP to log in. That again adds on to the security layer of your day-to-day working with RAS. All right, moving forward, let's really look at it from again a use case perspective. I'm going to talk about different use cases. Of course, the primary ones that we solve with RAS, starting off from a user that wants to have access to remotely hosted applications. So I want to have access to remotely hosted application that I want to uh, access via my personal device. Let's look at a few range of applications that have already been hosted in this demo environment. And of course, I'm going to quickly give you an overview of all of these or some of these different applications. Starting off from a WordPad, with the click of a button, it's like I'm working on this app which is installed on my own device. But realistically speaking, it's not. It's just a virtually streamed application. So the reason I'm just showing this to you is to give you an overview of how the user experience really feels like. You don't really feel any lag, so it really gives you an ideal, um, yeah, runtime performance, allowing you to feel like it's installed in your own personal device. Of course, we started off with WordPad. Let me go into a legacy application like Homebank. So even legacy applications which you can't SaaSify can easily be deployed inside this RAS environment. This is just one of many. When you talk about the likes of Sage 500, all of those can easily be deployed inside your RAS environment. Of course, this is Homebank. Again, usability seems as fresh as it can get. If you look at some graphically intensive applications, like for example, over here we have Krita installed. I'm just going to go and click on Krita, which is more of a drawing 2D graphical application. Just to give you an idea of how graphically intensive applications really look like when you're working with them to a virtualized environment like this. Again, just to give you an overview, uh, the user experience looks or feels pretty much like I'm using my own personal device for this. Again, let me just go back and look at it from a different use case perspective. So, of course, these were purely from an application hosting point of view, where I'm a user wanting to access some remote apps from my company, and this is something that I can easily work with. If you look at it from another angle, where you want to access a remotely hosted desktop in this matter. For example, the session-based VDI experience, which gives you a completely remotely hosted desktop that you can access via the RAS environment. It's called a session-based VDI in RAS language. And of course, as you see over here, I'm using a Windows 11 PC, but on my Windows 11 PC, I have a Windows 10 hosted environment that I can work with. Now, if I go full screen, it basically gives me an overview of like I'm working in my own personal desktop. There is browser and browser that you can work with, and of course, easily play around with this environment. Again, as you can see, this might look like I'm working on my own desktop, but it is completely a remotely hosted VDI environment that I'm accessing via RAS or via Parallels RAS. Again, so the applications that I showed you that you were accessing via the application uh, toolbar, you can easily access them via the desktop. So you don't really have to go and change your uh, RAS accessibility. You can easily access your apps via this desktop itself over here. Like for example, host or Krita or other applications right from this desktop. You can easily start working in those environments. Let me click on Zoom. You better overview if you've installed that. But yeah, you can easily start working or playing around with different apps within this desktop environment as well. So these were two of the core use cases, or the more, I would say the more predominant use cases that we solve with Parallels RAS, allowing you to have access to remotely hosted applications, whether it be cloud-based applications, legacy applications, SaaS, or remotely hosted desktops like these, all in a singular streamlined platform. Unlike many legacy VDI solutions, I think even Citrix for that matter, which you really have to pay or go through different kind of subscription models for hosting apps or desktops or of course hybrid models. RAS intuitively streamlines it into one singular subscription model. Another thing that I want to highlight before I dive deeper into an admin perspective of this demo, all of the features that you're seeing right now are all encapsulated into a singular subscription licensing model. So you don't really pay for anything extra, whether it be support, whether it be hosting desktops, apps, AVD integration for that matter. All of that comes with a singular subscription licensing model that you can benefit from, a singular concurrent licensing model to be precise. Now that we've seen how a user would look at RAS from accessing remotely hosted apps or remotely hosted desktops, I could have easily shown you an AVD desktop integration as well, but I don't have my Azure account integrated with this. But to give you an idea, your AVD desktop would also be accessible in the same home overview. Let's go and look at it from a technical standpoint on what the admin would really look at for managing the RAS environment. So all of this again comes down to a singular management console, as we talked about during the presentation. All of the usability from an IT admin point of view or a system administrator point of view can be taken care of from a singular management console, which is the Parallels Remote Application Server console, as you see over here. So let me just highlight a few of these things that you can take care of from over here, starting off from giving you an overview of what the entire farm really looks like of different resources that you have, different sites that you're hosting from. As you see over here, there's one site where there's one primary connection broker and all of the information in regards to that. And then, of course, all the resources, whether it be RD session hosts, VDIs, Azure virtual desktops for that matter. All of those resources are all encapsulated in one singular management console. Now, another important thing that I want to mention is the help. So we have a high availability load balancer within RAS, so you don't really need to leverage other external load balancing. Um, so with the likes of Citrix that you might have to. Then you talk about application packages. I really want to mention the fact that we have a M6 app attached kind of an integration. So you have application packages that you want to deploy together. You can easily leverage RAS for that. And of course, giving you an easier way to deploy a huge sets of applications that you want to get access to. As you see over here, the application packages over here that we've deployed into this environment. But to give you an idea, it's publishing can be as easy as it gets. So with the click of a button, let me just show you how easy it is to publish applications from your different RDS hosts or different server farms that you're hosting from. But it's just basically going into the publishing panel in your console, seeing what you really want to deploy, whether it be applications, desktops, or other documents for that matter. I'm just going to click on application and see where is the resource that you're planning to publish this application from. In this case, whether it be a local device that you're planning to host the application from or an RD session host. It doesn't matter. And of course, what kind of applications you're looking to deploy, whether it be predefined applications, M6 app attached application packages, installed applications, or a single application. Going here, and then of course, just with the now that we've not connected it to different server farms, I will not be technically be able to host a real application out there. But just to give you an overview of how easy it can get, you just decide the application, describe how you want it to start, and then of course, host it as you feel like. Now, if you see something from this end, I'm not sure why I can't click it. There we go. All right. Yeah. I'm not sure why I'm not able to publish something from my personal device, but yes, this is something that you can easily play around with once you're connecting your personal resources or the right resources that you want to deploy your apps or desktops from. Let me quickly go around showing you a few more things that you can play around within this console, starting off from looking at all the active sessions. As you see over here, these are the active sessions within our RAS demo environment that are actually active right now. And of course, all the overviews on what the session lengths look like, what the sessions um, usability is really looking like, and of course, what the status and of course, type of accounts are being managed. Everything can be taken care of within this session view over here. And of course, as I mentioned, we have inbuilt load balancing that you can easily play around with. And then just to mention some special features like universal printing, so allowing you to print from your own personal devices. And then, of course, playing around with universal scanning or just additional features that you can easily leverage your remote working experience with your own personal devices. Uh, Another important thing that I want to highlight, apart from this session overview, something that you can really look at is the device manager. So all of the devices that your team is playing around with, whether it be, yeah, personal devices, corporate devices, hosted devices, everything is or can be viewed from this singular pane of glass over here. Again, the reason I'm highlighting these elements that we can see within this management console is just to give you an overview of how simple it is from an IT admin point of view to take care of resource publications or load balancing or things like, you know, profile management in a singular pane of glass rather than investing your time in different, of course, platforms. Um, Another thing that I wanted to highlight, apart from the thing that we've already seen, is the monitoring and reporting side of things. So you have a complete overview of monitoring what the actual utility of each session looks like. the CPU usage, the network usage, the gateway information, and of course, all of this can be reported in different formats as well. As you see over here, this is just the licensing information. But yeah, this is in a nutshell what the management console really allows you to do from an IT admin perspective. All right. So what we looked at from in this demo, just to kind of go back and have a briefing on, is re remote application hosting or remote application accessibility, remote desktop accessibility, and then of course we had the management console that we looked at. This is just the the tip of the iceberg, as you may call it, in terms of what RAS is allowing you to do from a virtualization perspective. Alrighty, so that was a quick demo, as you may call it, from a Parallels RAS product point of view. So I'm just going to quickly go back and dive back into my presentation, just so we can conclude on some important topics that I want to highlight. Let me share my screen again. There we go. Perfect. Obviously, I'm sure as we went through the demo, you might have gotten a lot of questions that might have tipped your mind. So please feel free to put them on the comment section, and I'll try to address them towards the end of the discussion, or personally reach out to you if I'm obviously not able to do it in today's discussion, just so we can make sure that you get all the information that you need from a product standpoint. So that really brings us to a full cycle of today's discussion, where we talked about Parallels RAS, how it differs from Citrix, and also had a quick brief overview of what the usability looks like from a use case perspective. I hope what really came through in today's discussion is that Parallels is all about giving you the choice. Across our entire product portfolio, we offer flexible, secure solutions to deliver apps and data tailored to different businesses and their IT budgets. Whether you're an SMB or an enterprise, there's a solution that fits. Another important thing that I'd love to highlight is a quick look on some of our partners that we collaborate with in the EUC space. I'm sure many of you are, yeah, aware of most of these names that you see over here. That just gives you an idea that Parallels is a tightly connected, wide ecosystem of technologies. This means we have better integration, stronger support, and ultimately more choice for you and your customers. All right, I'm just going to look at the comment section for some questions. I don't see any right now, apart from the one from David, which says the landing page is the landing page able to be personalized? Yes. So the landing page, the home page that you're working with, let me again quickly show it to you if I can. But let me just go back from this presentation itself. So yes, the landing page, how it really looks like, the colors, all of this can be adapted to your company's branding. So whether it be the colors that you want to play around with, the icons for different resources, names, and the colors as a whole, all of them can be adapted to your own company's branding as well. So that shouldn't be a problem. All right, that was a good one, because a lot of our MSP partners, for that matter, who want to deploy apps and desktops for their end users, one of the more important things that they ask us is, can we brand it as our own? And to answer that question, yes, we can. RAS allows you to deliver the platform as your own by yeah, allowing you to rebrand it, or as you may call it, to your own company's branding. So what's next? If you're thinking this could work for us, but I'd love to talk it through, or I'd love to know a bit more from a product standpoint, our team would love to get connected with you and help you explore what's possible. We have a technical team of highly trained sales engineers who can really run down Parallels RAS from a product standpoint, really dive deeper into the demo, allow you to address any questions that you might have. But of course, you getting in touch with me would be the best first step for me to get you introduced with the right people within our team. Also, I have some really cool resources to help you learn more. As you see right here, we have the migration tool, the Parallels migration tool for Citrix. This is a great way to understand what moving from Citrix to Parallels might look like, and it's practical and easy to follow. I can share that with you, or you can look at it from this link. Both of these links will be posted in the comment section of this event, just so you have easy accessibility to all of these resources. The right thing over here, as you see over here, this video, we have a Tech Bytes video series. If you prefer short, focused video type content, Tech Bytes covers key RAS features, migration steps, comparisons, and new updates. It's a great resource whether you're learning or looking for materials to share with colleagues or customers. I'll put all of these links in the chat right after this webinar. All right. That really brings us towards the end of the discussion. As you see, we are almost 45 minutes into the webinar. And I'd love to thank you all for joining me and participating in today's discussion. And of course, sharing your feedback with me would be the best next step that I'd love to get in touch with you guys for. I hope you guys enjoyed what was presented. If you have any further questions or require any additional assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out to me personally. And of course, I'd love to have a personal one-to-one chat with any one of you who might have gotten even a slight bit of interest looking at RAS and the technology that we provide and the strong alternative to Citrix that we are as a whole. Having said that, I really wish you all a fantastic rest of the day. And again, thank you again for joining me in today's discussion. And I hope to stay in touch with all of you. Please take care and have a lovely rest of the day. Cheers. Oh, we have another question from David. Does this work with publishing apps from Server 22? And thank you, Paxi, for handling that. But yes, we can. We can publish apps from a Server 2022. David, the best next step for me would be to get in touch with you so I can share some documentation on how we really do this, just so you have a better understanding of these questions that you've asked. So thank you, and let's get in touch personally.